I swear to you, the sky wasn't supposed to break like that. People talk about storms, about eclipses, about strange clouds, but no one ever warns you what it feels like to look up and see the heavens themselves split apart like glass, with something staring down through the cracks. I was there the night it happened, and I can't sleep anymore because I know that thing is still watching. I live in a small town, the kind of place where nothing ever happens, and people like to say they enjoy the quiet. You know the type. Streetlights that flicker yellow, houses too old to sell, and neighbors that know more about your life than they should. That night, I had been walking home from the gas station, a plastic bag with 2 cans of cheap beer swinging at my side. It was late, close to midnight, and the streets were empty. No cars, no voices, just the sound of my own footsteps and the faint hum of electricity buzzing from the power lines. The sky had been unusually dark, darker than I'd ever seen it. No moon, no stars, just an endless black ceiling pressing down. I thought maybe the weather was changing, that a storm was rolling in. But then I noticed something off. The air felt too heavy, too warm, almost buzzing, like the pressure before a thunderstorm, except no thunder ever came. When I turned onto my street, I saw it. A red line. Thin, jagged, glowing faintly like a crack in glass. High above me, stretched across the night sky. I stopped walking. My heart skipped. For a second, I thought maybe it was lightning, just a streak frozen in place. But no, it wasn't fading. It wasn't moving. It was spreading. The crack pulsed, like veins. I don't remember deciding to do it, but I tilted my head back and just stared. My eyes watered. My chest tightened. And as I stood there, I swear, I felt something on the other side looking back at me. I hurried the rest of the way home, clutching the plastic bag so hard the handles cut into my skin. By the time I stepped inside and shut the door behind me, I was sweating. I kept trying to convince myself it was nothing, a trick of the light. Maybe planes leaving contrails. Maybe my eyes were tired. But when I peeked through my blinds half an hour later, the crack had grown wider, and something moved behind it. The next morning, the town was buzzing with rumors. People had seen it. Farmers out on their fields, night shift workers driving home, even the pastor at the church. Everyone had their own explanation. Aurora borealis, military experiments, some kind of atmospheric phenomenon. But the way they talked about it, I could tell none of them believed their own words. By evening, the crack was visible again. Bigger now. Blood-red light leaked from it like lava. The edges spiderwebbed across the sky, jagged and unnatural, and when the wind blew, it didn't sound right anymore. The sky groaned. That's the only way I can describe it. A deep, low vibration, like stone grinding against stone. And that night, I saw the eye. I hadn't meant to go outside. I had told myself I'd stay in, close the blinds, put on some music, drink anything to drown it out, but curiosity gnawed at me. Fear too. Around 2 a.m., I found myself standing barefoot on the porch, staring up. The crack was massive now. It split the heavens right open, a jagged wound stretching from horizon to horizon. Behind it was nothing like clouds, nothing like stars. It was darker, a depth that made my stomach turn when I tried to measure it with my eyes. And in that depth, something shifted, a shape, huge, unthinkably huge. It blotted out entire constellations that should have been there. Then I saw it, one glowing green eye, perfectly round, perfectly unblinking, fixed directly on me. I don't remember how long I stood there, frozen. My knees locked, my throat bone dry, the night air sharp in my lungs. All I could do was stare back, and then it blinked. I screamed. I don't know if anyone else heard me, but I bolted inside, slammed the door, locked it twice, then 3 times. My hands shook so violently I could barely turn the deadbolt. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat at my kitchen table, the light above buzzing, the beer untouched, trying to convince myself I hadn't seen what I'd seen. But deep down, I knew. The sky had cracked open, and something on the other side had noticed us. The following days blurred together. Animals started acting strange. Dogs wouldn't stop barking at the sky. Cows refused to graze. Birds abandoned the trees entirely. It was as if every living thing could feel what I had felt, that presence behind the crack. The town tried to go about life like normal, but you could see it in people's eyes. The nervous glances, the way they spoke in hushed voices. And every night, the crack widened. By the 5th night, I wasn't the only one who had seen the eye. People whispered about it at the diner, outside the grocery store, even in church pews. Some claimed they'd seen not just one, but several blinking in the darkness above. Others claimed to hear voices, whispers, faint and guttural, riding the wind. I thought they were exaggerating, until it happened to me. It was around 3 a.m. when I woke up suddenly, heart pounding. At first, I thought it was a nightmare. The room was dark, my sheets damp with sweat, and then I heard it. A voice. Not outside, not in my head, everywhere. A low, wet whisper vibrating in my bones, speaking in a language I couldn't recognize but somehow understood. Look. That's all it said, just one word. And against every instinct screaming inside me, I found myself walking back to the window. I pulled the blinds open. The crack filled the entire sky. The light from it bled into my room, painting the walls a deep, arterial red. And there, beyond the broken heavens, the shape leaned closer. I could see its outline more clearly now, towering, inhuman. Its body shimmered like smoke but moved with weight, with intention. Its single green eye bored into me, unblinking, merciless. And I realized, with a sickening chill, that the crack wasn't spreading by accident. It was opening wider because something was pushing through. I didn't leave the house the next day. I couldn't. Every time I glanced at the window, I felt it, that pull. Like something was waiting for me to look up again. The word it had whispered still echoed in my mind. Look. I tried to fight it, but the truth is, I wanted to. Part of me needed to. By now, the entire town had stopped pretending life was normal. The diner was empty. The church bells rang, but nobody went inside. Even the old man who sat on his porch every morning with a cigarette hadn't been seen in days. The streets were hollow, silent, except at night. At night, the sky moaned. You couldn't escape it. That grinding, cracking sound overhead. It rattled the windows, shook the trees, seeped into your bones. And every night, the crack grew bigger, glowing red like veins of molten rock. The thing behind it was closer. On the seventh night, the power went out. I was sitting at my table when the lights flickered, buzzed, and then died. The fridge stopped humming. The heater clicked off. And then the silence was broken by a scream. A woman's scream. Somewhere down the street. I grabbed a flashlight and ran to the window. At first, I saw nothing. The beam cut across empty houses and leafless trees. And then I saw her, my neighbor, Mrs. Carson, stumbling barefoot down the road. Her hands clutched her head, her mouth open in a raw, tearing wail. And above her, the crack pulsed. The red light bled down onto her skin, and for the first time I saw something else inside it. Not just the eye, but hands. Black, endless, reaching hands pressing against the fracture in the sky, clawing their way through. Mrs. Carson collapsed. She twitched once, twice, then went still. And then, God help me, her head tilted back. Her mouth opened, wider than it should have, impossibly wide, until the skin at the corners of her lips split. And through her scream, I heard it again. That same voice. Look. But this time, it was using her. I dropped the flashlight. I don't even remember falling to the floor, but I must have, because when I came to, my knees were bleeding and the beam was pointed at the ceiling. I crawled to the corner of the room, covered my ears, and shut my eyes tight. But the voice didn't stop. It filled the air, vibrating through the walls, through my skull. Over and over, a chant, deeper now, more voices joining in until it wasn't one but hundreds, speaking as one. Look, look, look. I don't know how long it lasted. Hours, maybe. But when I woke again, the sun had risen, and Mrs. Carson's body was gone. That was the first night the town changed. After that, people stopped being people. They'd walk the streets in silence, their heads tilted back, eyes glazed white. Sometimes their mouths would twitch, open slightly, like they were whispering to something I couldn't hear. I stayed inside. I boarded the windows. I turned off every light. But still every night I could feel it, that green eye, searching. On the ninth night, I made a mistake. I fell asleep. When I opened my eyes, I was standing outside. I don't remember leaving the house. I don't remember opening the door. But there I was, barefoot, in the cold grass, my head tilted back. And the sky, oh God, it was wide open now. The cracks stretched across everything, bleeding red light onto the earth. And through it, the creature was pushing. I saw its shoulders, its arms. Its skin looked like smoke and stone fused together, shifting and alive. Its eye burned brighter than ever, and around it, smaller eyes blinked open, one after another, in a pattern too vast for me to comprehend. The sky itself was tearing apart to let it through. And then, without realizing it, I whispered the word back. Look. When I came to, it was morning. My feet were cut and bloody. My throat was raw like I'd been screaming all night. I thought maybe it was a dream. Maybe I had gone mad. But then I noticed the mark, on my chest. A thin red line, glowing faintly, jagged like a crack, the same shape as the sky. By the 10th night, the whole town had changed. No one spoke anymore. Not with their own voices. They wandered the streets at night, heads tilted back, eyes rolled white, chanting in unison. I could hear them outside my window, a sea of voices all saying the same thing. Look, 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 and above them the crack opened wider. The thing behind it was almost through, and I knew, somehow, that it wanted me. I don't know how many nights it's been anymore. The clock stopped working. The sun doesn't rise the way it used to. Every morning is gray, cold, the air feels heavy, like breathing ash, and the crack in the sky never fades. It's always there, hanging above me, wider now, so wide it's all I see when I step outside. And the voices never stop. I tried to leave town. God knows I tried. I packed what little food I had left, filled a jug with water, and started walking down the highway. My chest burned where the red mark pulsed, but I ignored it. I told myself if I kept moving, if I didn't look back, I could escape. But after hours of walking, I realized something. I was back where I started. The same empty gas station, the same broken sign. Like the road itself had folded, bending me back toward the town. There is no leaving. By the 12th night, the thing had almost pushed through. I watched from my window as its arms reached down, long and black, fingers stretching across rooftops like shadows with weight. Every time it touched something, trees, cars, houses, they rotted, collapsing in on themselves as if decades had passed in seconds. And the people, what was left of them, they welcomed it. They stood in the streets with their arms open, their jaws unhinged, chanting that endless word until their throats bled. Look, look, look. They weren't afraid anymore. They were worshipping. I thought about ending it. I held a knife in my hand, pressed it against my skin, right over the red crack on my chest. If I pushed hard enough, maybe it would stop. Maybe I could die before whatever's coming arrives. But then the voice whispered again, not outside, not from the sky, from inside me. You're already mine. I dropped the knife. Last night was the worst. The sky didn't just crack, it opened. I was dragged outside. I don't remember walking, but suddenly I was standing in the center of the street with the others, my feet rooted to the ground, my head forced upward. And I saw it. The creature. its whole body pressing through, a mountain of shadow and flame, its single green eye staring directly into me.
Subscribe to Horror Story Bar.